My friends, I'm going to be straight up honest with you right now. This is a 2023 Honda CRV hybrid. But in the caption and in my review, I'm going to pretend like it's a 2024 because nothing has changed. Well, with one exception, two exceptions, in fact. And I'll get to those obviously in a moment. The thing is, with this CRV hybrid, to put it quite frankly, I didn't want to review it. I did not want to review it. Almost always, when a new product comes out and I'm only, further down the list to actually review a vehicle, I tend to ignore reviews or comments from some of my colleagues when we're talking about cars, because that's what we do. Obviously, we're paid to do that, just so that my opinion is not influenced. But this SUV, this very specific SUV, how can I put it? Without exception, everything I heard about it and even read about it was negative. And for that main reason, I did not want to review it. But the moon and the stars, everything aligned, and I ended up driving it, well, this week now, so a while back, once the video goes online. And I did my absolute best to put aside everything I had heard, so that I am not once again influenced by them. And the fact of the matter is that this is such a miss on Honda's behalf. I don't understand how it's even possible that Honda went so far off track with this, even with one of the two differences for 2024. I'm not a very big fan of the current CRV. I mean, I prefer a lot of other small SUVs, but the fact remains that this is still, the CRV itself, is still a good SUV. But in hybrid form, see, one of the issues is that expectations were so high. In the US, the previous generation CRV was available as a hybrid. For whatever reason, we never got it in Canada, but because of the competition from Toyota, from Hyundai, from Kia, and a few other automakers, Ford, for example, hybrid versions of their compact SUVs were always available, yet, the Honda version eluded us. And once they finally announced that it was coming, again, that kind of set expectations, because the other hybrids, now please understand, I'm specifically talking about hybrids, not plug-in hybrid versions, were so good, so efficient, that, it's a Honda. It had to be all of that as well. But it's not. It's just not. And I don't recall the last time I'd been so aggravated by a vehicle because it so did not meet my expectations. Now once again, I'm speaking very much specifically about the hybrid version of this, because there's a lot of things that are identical to the regular CRV which are very, very good. Namely, the interior space and the rear doors that open up to 90 degrees. I'll show that to you very shortly. But if I'm to summarize, sell myself short again, this thing is not efficient at all, ridiculously too expensive, and there's one item, which I'll obviously touch on later on in the video, about the drive, that the only way to put it is despite the mileage that I've put on this, is utterly impossibly aggravating that I didn't drive this thing for 2 days and used my Golf because I didn't want to drive it. That may be specific to this exact CRV, but anyway, that's the one I got. So in the following video, the lap, and then a lap. Please hang in there. All right, so unless you've been living under a rock, you know exactly that this is a CRV. Current generation is only a couple years old, and it's all over the place. It remains one of the best-selling vehicles in Canada, one of the best-selling SUVs as well. And frankly, that's mostly to do with the Honda name and the CRV badge. And the current truck SUV is still fairly handsome. I do like, as we know, well, if you recall, 2023 was the year of the SUV over at Honda. So all of their SUVs, the Pilots, the HRV and the CRV, and I assume shortly the Passport, will all have this kind of snub, flat front nose, which is, handsome enough, aggressive enough. So yeah, good looking. By the way, this is radiant red, the color, which does it really works with the blacked out stuff. Okay, so as I said, now I'm being very honest with all three of you. This is a 23, but we're going to pretend it's a 24 because nothing's changed. Pricing, now this is one of the things. In 2023, only the touring version was available, and that's what this is. This is a touring for $48,890. Okay, so obviously it's completely loaded. Heated seats, both rows, heated steering wheel, power tailgate, the 19-inch wheels, everything is included. Okay, for 2024 in the US, by the way, okay, for 2024, pricing now is a little bit different because they've added an EXL, so a lower trim than the Touring, which now starts at $46,775. So it's not that it's decontented, but it is. So, but you still get heated steering wheel, leather seats, heated front and second row seats, LED lights, Sirius audio, 9-inch display, 18-inch wheels, 7-inch digital IP. It's well equipped. The Touring returns, but now it's $49,775. So there's nearly $1,000 more model year to model year. For what reason, I can't tell you. In the US, now this is one of the things that really hurts. In the US, the base price for a 2024 Honda CRV Hybrid is $34,050 because they have 3 trims, which are even more, obviously less content, but still have access to the hybrid powertrain, which is kind of frustrating. But yeah, when you do step up to the Touring, you get navigation, 19-inch wheels, the roof rails, and then the radiant red color, which is an extra $300. So you're looking at $50,075 for a CRV hybrid. My friends, that's ridiculous. Utterly, absolutely ludicrous, in fact. And even with the EXL at $46,775, if you take a RAV4 LE hybrid, the base model, all-wheel drive, well-equipped, $35,950. Okay, that's 11,000 give or take dollars less. You want a Tucson hybrid? It starts at $40,599, or about $6,200 less. Honda, what the heck are you guys not inhaling? Anyway, okay. So yeah, that's one of the main issues, and the way other changes the fact that now there's an EXL as opposed to only the Touring. Power tailgate. This is one of the great things about the CRV is 1,028 liters of boot space. It is huge, accessible. There's tons to go around. There isn't anything under here. I should not have done that. I thought I was going to get it. I got it. See, all good. So that's all you get. But the seat back does recline, and yeah, so I feel silly having done that. But it's done. Okay, so yeah, here's the 90-degree rear door open. This is fantastic. This is like designed for families. Lots of space back here. You could almost squeeze another human between the two seats. A small one, albeit, but tons of room, nearly flat floor back there. It's really nice. Yeah, so seats. Fit finish, it's all Honda stuff. This contrast stitching is available with this trim too. The gloss black. I mean, it's typical Honda, so it looks good. In fact, it's premiumized over the previous generations, very much like the Civic and the HRV. Everything looks more upscale, let's put it that way, including the seats, which are incredibly comfortable. I mean, thankfully, Honda hasn't forgotten how to do seats. Power lumbar support, it's all included in this trim. So let's just step aboard, start it up. So there's the 7-inch display right there. There's your 9-inch display. I have to say, and it's kind of weird because I've had this conversation with a few people. A lot of things have been glitchy recently. And Apple CarPlay wireless works 1 out of 3 times, which is worse than what I've usually experienced in the past. So that's why I'm wired now. And even then, it doesn't always work. Using Spotify, anyway, that really upsets my daughter when Spotify doesn't work because we can't listen to Dua Lipa, and that upsets me too because I like Dua Lipa as well. Heated steering wheel, nice thing. The paddles. Remind me, all 2 of you, to tell you about the paddles when we get out there to drive. What I do like is the HVAC controls. Very straightforward, easy to access. You don't have to wait like on a lot of systems or vehicles, where you have to go through the screen to access the heated seats or heated steering wheel for that matter. Storage is really good, wireless charger. This is your drive modes. I guess I could show you that now. So there's snow, econ, which is what I've been using almost exclusively, normal, and then sport. Let me see. Yeah, oh, no, hold on. Get back. No, go back. See that? And I've done 460 kilometers. See that? That's not good. I'll tell you more. But if I get back to fit and finish, I mean, it's lovely. The door bins are good. I was touching on storage before. Very, very decent. And visibility is quite good. The A-pillars are very, very thin. I mean, even the screen, I mean, it's still, level with the base of the windshield, so that works out nicely. And then you have a nice opening right over here. So, being on board is not bad. But driving, different story. So let's go do that. Okay, yeah, I know I said $11,000 difference between a RAV4 LE hybrid and an EXL CRV hybrid. There's obviously an equipment level difference. But I mean, if you're buying a hybrid for the efficiency, you got to pay a heck of a lot of money. So that's that. I covered that. That's the good news. The bad news is we're going to start right. 2-liter, 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated Atkinson cycle. On its own puts out like 145 horsepower, but with the 2 electric motors, excuse me, total system output is 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque. So also, on paper, this thing is the most powerful CRV, and admittedly, okay, let's touch on we'll focus on the more positive stuff. Admittedly, it feels kind of quick. I do enjoy it, and one of the best surprises is the ECVT. Oh, that's dark. I always forget when I come here that it gets really dark in here, but it's better this way because you can't see as much of me, so you can thank me in the comments. The ECVT is actually really, really nice. It's one of the most transparent in a way where you're not, it doesn't drone as much, or the sound deadening is really nice. And if you do get on the throttle, it shifts convincingly well, like upshifts convincingly. It's quite nice, in fact. But okay, and the ride is nice. I have to admit, with the 19-inch wheels, the ride is kind of nice, even on the ugliest of roads in and around my neighborhood. Brakes feel nice. Oh, and we'll get braking. That reminds me, with the paddle shifters. See. Someone reminded me, thank you. You can actually use them as a deceleration mode, aka regenerative braking in a sense. So I'm in drive and you can actually use them, but then eventually it'll default back to being normal drive. If you put it in B, you can actually set it and forget it. So there are 4 or 5, I can't count, different settings for the regen braking, which is a really, really nice and unusual touch for a hybrid. And they work convincingly well enough. It won't bring you to a full stop, but again, it's a nice touch. And I think that's it, because everything else about this is, well, let's just get with the fuel consumption. So I've done 460 and change kilometers. I've had a lot of driving to do this week. And so you can imagine that nearly 3/4 of that has been done on the highway. And you can see what I'm averaging, 8.5. The lowest that it was indicated was 8.3. And it went as high as 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, unless I'm mistaken, those are usual or normal CRV fuel consumption numbers, which is catastrophic, especially when you consider, well, it's supposed to average, on average, 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which is still on paper worse than what you get in a RAV4, which is supposed to be about 6 liters. The difference is that with the RAV4, you will average 6 liters, maybe 6.2 or 6.4 if I'm behind the wheel. But this can't get it under 8, no matter how nice I am. And as I told you, I've been driving an Econ almost exclusively. Fuel consumption is catastrophic, and you got to pay a lot more for it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then the worst offender. The reason why I parked this car, SUV, whatever, for 2 days and did not drive it. Steering. This is the worst assistance that I've experienced in years. It's glitchy, uneven, totally not linear, and sometimes feels like it has a mind of its own. It is horrible. Like you can give, I don't know, 16 grams of effort, nothing happens, and then suddenly it just kicks. It kicks. It's absolutely notchy, as though assistance was a switch, on off, on off, on off, on off, constantly. And it's most terrible in good English when you're driving in a straight line on the highway, because you can be doing 110 and you're not giving any input whatsoever. Everything's fine, but then there's a crosswind, or you drive by a semi or a lorry, and there's corrections have to be made, and it's just constant, like, jerky, notchy, jerky, notchy. Even at lower speeds like this, like turning a corner, it's the reason why I would not drive it. Also, fuel economy for this thing is worse than my Golf. So yeah, now add into that the excessive amount of money that Honda wants you to pay for one of these. And I'm telling you right now, there is absolutely not no good reason why you should buy a CRV hybrid. If you absolutely want a hybrid, you'll be best served with patience with a Toyota RAV4 or one of the Koreans, or even the Ford Escape Hybrid, which is available all-wheel drive. This is the most worst, practicing my English, compact, most worse hybrid SUV, if not most worse. I know it just got a little irritating. Hybrid I've driven in a long time. I am including the steering. It's possible that they're not all like this. Maybe it's just this one that's got glitchy, weird assistance. But yeah, this is a complete miss. Like, the track is here and Honda is somewhere over there. And that's it.